Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fastball Sports Network. I am Frank. That is Mark. Mark, how are we doing today?
We're doing well. Survivor Series is this Sunday. Believe it or not, I don't believe it, but let's dive in.
Well, we have actually not a ton to talk about because this card isn't really loaded with like any other matches besides for the Survivor Series stuff, but I like it. We're focusing on SmackDown versus Raw. This is like a fun thing to do. Like you said, I wish they would have put more build into it, but we're here now. And honestly, I think we have some pretty entertaining matches that are going to fly under the radar until Sunday.
Hopefully, I mean, the wrestling will be good. That's never a problem. Never concerned with the wrestling. But when you don't build up a show, when you don't build up storylines that are compelling that matter, it really impacts the show, especially a show like this, a Big Four. It's usually really, really exciting. We might get a Raw invasion tonight, but besides that, we haven't really gotten anything. I know the Usos showed up on the go home on Raw, but like, it doesn't really do a ton. I love the Usos. I love Roman, but like sending the Usos over doesn't really move the needle.
Yeah, it wouldn't really have made sense for Roman's character for him to lead an invasion right now onto SmackDown. So I actually do think that it's smart for them to keep Roman off of Raw, even though it would have been a huge draw. Like people would have flipped the channel. So like if they wanted to do that, they could have. But it just feels like that's not really Roman's character right now. You know what I mean? Like that would be almost going against him for him to be like this big, like blue brand guy leading the troops into SmackDown. It makes much more sense for E to bring the Raw roster over to SmackDown. That seems much more in his place, especially because they had that whole argument, not this past week on Raw, but the week before that, about who is the face of Monday Night Raw. So you have big time Bex, who could lead the women's division over there. You've got Bianca Belair, who says she's the face of Raw. You've got Seth freaking Rollins, who says he's the face of Raw. Kevin Owens says he should be the face of Raw. So you have all these guys who want to be the face of Raw. So it would make way more sense for them to invade SmackDown. I think there's a lot more Team Raw, like togetherness, or maybe not togetherness, but Team Raw like want than it feels like for Team SmackDown right now, or at least in the leadership department. But yeah, I guess let's just hop right into it. I have an order here, but I want to know. We'll start with what do you think is going to open the show, and then we'll start with that match.
What I think should open the show for Survivor Series.
I have two matches that I'm mulling over. I want to see if you agree.
Probably the women's 5-on-5 match.
I was thinking that. I was also thinking Charlotte and Becky could probably open the show.
Yeah.
But okay, let's start with the women's team. So we just a quick rundown. It is Bianca Belair who is the captain, so to speak. We've got Liv Morgan. We've got Carmella, Selena Vega, and Rhea Ripley. So all in all, Raw team pretty solid, right?
Yeah,
it's
sure.
Not too strong where you're like, oh, like they're definitely gonna we can't see them losing, but at the same time, it's not very, very weak. On the SmackDown side of things, we have Captain Sasha Banks, we have Savvy Vet Natalia, we have Shotzi Blackheart, we have Shayna Baszler, and player to be named later. So I guess my first question before we even dive into the match, who is player to be named later for you? Who do you want to see? Forget who do you think, because they could literally go with anybody that's on the roster that isn't Aaliyah, or maybe she earns her way back in. I guess they could even say her.
I was gonna say, I think I want to see her. I want to see her get her way back on the team. Is kind of where I'm leaning, but I don't know. There's Naomi. Character wise, there's no way that Sonya should let Naomi on the team based on everything they're doing. And there's not really that many girls like to choose from on SmackDown. Maybe they pull up someone from NXT. I'll say Aaliyah. I want to see Aaliyah get her spot back. I liked what I saw from her in the brief time that we saw her.
Okay. I think it's Naomi. I think that makes the most sense. And also, if you add Naomi to that team, you got Sasha, Naomi, again, Natty does what Natty does, Shayna Baszler, like those four, and then Shotzi's they're going to have the newcomers look good. They're going to have Shotzi look good. They're going to have Liv Morgan look good in this match. Like, no question, Liv Morgan's next up to face Becky Lynch. So it's important she looks good in this match. It's important Shotzi, again, the new girl they're trying to build, they're going to look good in this match, obviously. I don't know if anybody's Soul Survivor worthy in this match. If it is, it's Bianca Belair, right? Like, if someone's going to be the Soul Survivor, it's Bianca Belair, or maybe Sasha Banks. Just feels like she doesn't need that. You know what I mean? Like, she can just lead this team silently and like lose with like 2 or 3 people left for SmackDown, But Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who the fifth person is. Maybe it's someone really cool. Maybe like it's someone they bring up
They don't have
or
anyone really cool.
yeah. I mean, Naomi's good. Like you're not mad if Naomi's get put on this team. Excuse me.
No, like I like Naomi, but it's not going to mean anything. Like she'll be put on the team, she'll do a cool spot and get eliminated. Like
Yeah.
it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, that'd be sick if I don't know. We gotta wait and see on that front, but it's just all kind of a mess and thrown together.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. All right. So Soul, give me a Soul Survivor if you have one, or if you think it's not going to end in Soul Survivor.
It's also kind of funny because when we did our predictions like 2 weeks ago, we both did not have Natalya on the team, but we kind of agreed she'll be on this team.
Yeah, we both were just like, yeah, she's gonna be on it, but like wishful thinking.
Let's hope she's not. Soul Survivor. So we're gonna pick the winner in the Soul Survivor, or
Yeah, I mean, just do you think that? Let's start with just do you think there's gonna be a Soul Survivor, and if so, who is it gonna be?
I think there's gonna be a Soul Survivor in the women's match. I'll say no. I'll say Raw wins with like Liv Morgan and Zelina Vega left.
I'm gonna say no Soul Survivor as well. I'm gonna say Raw wins as well with Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair as like the final two. But that's interesting that we both have Liv there. Like I said, I think it's super important that she looks good in this match. Yeah. And let's see. It'd be funny. I was actually thinking this the other day. It has nothing to do with Survivor Series, but Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan are going to be in a Raw Women's title match soon. Liv did a great job promo on Monday. Really cool, really fun. Glad they're finally giving her due. I was thinking to myself, there was that rumor that Charlotte wanted to drop the title to Bianca Belair because she's this huge locker room person. So yeah. I think it'd be really great if Becky decided that she was going to drop the title to Liv Morgan. And really show Charlotte, well, look, see, I actually did it instead of just talking about it, because I think they've been going back and forth, but we will get into that. Let's go with what will most likely undoubtedly be the second match, regardless of who opens the show, and that's Shinsuke Nakamura and Damian Priest. Now, to me, this is a little disappointing, and it's just because the fact that this is the match that is kind of like the one where I don't really care about. And I hate saying that because they're both good. Like there's nothing wrong with these two guys being the mid-card title champions. Like they've done nothing wrong. I just think that I'm more excited for the other matches because of the star power in the other matches. But and then the Survivor Series matches are obviously just a ton of fun. Like that they're really fun. So but I hope that I can, like lock into this match come Sunday and really enjoy it, because it's gonna be good. Like these are two good wrestlers. Who do you got?
It's kind of a problem every single year with this mid-card match where it's going to be a great wrestling match, but they just haven't done a good job building up either title in the longest amount of time for you to care about what title is supreme. And I don't know, there were some really fun matches over the years with like Seth Rollins in there when he was like the mid-card guy, but these are two guys. I think Shinsuke was a star. He's not really anymore. This is kind of just like it'll be a fun 15-minute match. I'll take Priest to win. I think he needs it more.
I was about to say, this feels like Priest, right? Like the vet's gonna. I mean, Priest isn't young, but he's the new guy on the block.
In a row, and no one would care. He would just still be Shinsuke.
So all right, so I think we're both in agreements there. Not too much to talk about. Now this next one is super interesting, and it's the Usos versus RK Bro, and I go back and forth with this one. It's going to be I think this is going to be phenomenal. I think this has match of the night potential. And I think that's saying a lot when you look, you have, it's going to be competing with two Survivor Series matches, an always solid Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair match, and a Big E versus Roman Reigns match. So, I mean, for me to say this has match of the night potential, I mean, these guys are going to go at it. You got Randy Orton, who's one of the greatest of all time. You got Riddle, who's bursted onto the scene pretty well, and he does a great job with Randy. He's a nice foil for Randy. And then you've got the Usos. They're one of the greatest tag teams of all time. So really, this match is going to be really, really good. Like, I have very high expectations for this match. But who do you got?
I'll take the Usos. It feels like Randy and Riddle are keep on doing their breakup that might happen one day, might never happen ever. It's kind of been a nonstop storyline, but yeah, it just feels like the Usos will win. It's a better look for them. Doesn't really matter if Randy and Riddle lose.
Yeah, I think SmackDown needs a win here. Again, because we both have Raw. right? You have Raw for the women's and Raw for Priest. So yeah, I'm gonna say SmackDown. This could have gone either way, whichever way they needed this battle to go. So yeah, I'm gonna say SmackDown gets the win here, and the Usos get the win. Hopefully something happens and somebody gets involved or something like that. I was just thinking, what would be cool if Naomi was put on the team because Roman forced her on the team. You know what I mean? Like Roman was like, this was like the start of her like going into that bloodline. Like she gets beat up earlier in the night by Shayna, and then she goes and talks to the Usos, and she's like, I'm sick and tired of this. And she's like, don't worry, we got you. And then they go and talk to Roman, and then Roman gets her, like, goes up to what's her name? Sonya, thank you. He goes up to Sonya and he's like, you're putting her on the team because I said so, and then boom, she's on the team. I think that would be really entertaining and good. But I don't know if that's in the cards right now.
Oh, that'd be really good. That's something that we've kind of been asking / waiting for some time now, but it just hasn't come to fruition. I don't know if that's exactly her character. Maybe they want to turn her heel. Maybe they want to turn her bad like that, which I think would be really, really good for her. Naomi hasn't done anything in, I don't even know, like 3 years. She's kind of off TV. She comes back, does something cool, and goes off TV again. So if they want to make her a real big deal, put her in the bloodline, take the belt off Charlotte with her, that'd be really, really cool.
I think you get Roman a woman for the women's division, and you get Roman a solo male for the mid card, and you have the bloodline hold every title on that show. You want to that is your show right now. The bloodline is your show, so make it. You know what I mean? Like make it your show. Again, getting a little off tangent there, but yeah, okay. So we both have the Usos, so we're actually both stacked up the same way right now. Raw women's team, Priest for Raw, and then Usos for SmackDown. That'll bring us into our next matchup, which is Charlotte versus Becky. It's a classic. It's one of those things where it's like you don't know how many times you could see it and like still like it, but we haven't seen it in a while. They have like personal beef outside of the ring, so it's going to be very interesting to see if this translates into what could be their best match yet, or possibly the chemistry isn't there and they could have a really poor match. You know what I mean? So I think all that stuff playing out is going to be really interesting. What do you see for this match? Like what is your expectation for this match?
I hope there's a finish is my expectation.
I was going to say, I don't think it ends clean. I think we get a 1-2-3. I don't think we get like a DQ or anything like that. I think we get a 1-2-3. I don't think it's going to be clean at all though, which is fine. Like I'm fine with that.
It's so cheap though. If you want to, this has always been my thing. I tell you all the time with Raw. I'm like, if you want to advertise a match, if you want to go through with it, go through with it. Don't advertise it just to have it like falsely end. And it works sometimes, but the amount they do it, it kills it for me. It's just,
well, they have a pay-per-view. They have the benefit of this being a pay-per-view and the fact that they're not going to be on the same show, so they're not going to be able to hold this over each other's head. So, I mean, a possibility of a clean finish it's possible, but I think we're getting a 1-2-3 either way.
If they were going to do it, I'd rather see them do it with Big E and protect him than protect Charlotte or Becky for that matter. Mm-hmm. Like if we're going to do a no finish, which I don't want a no finish on any match, like ever, because it's like I said, it just when they ring the bell and there's no winner, it just kills it for me. It's like I just wasted 30 minutes for nothing. But I think Becky has to win, right?
See, I think I'm leaning Charlotte right now. I'm leaning Charlotte just for the even SmackDown Raw thing, and because Charlotte's lost their matches like a lot. Like a lot. Like Charlotte has lost to Becky a lot like lately. So it feels like she kind of needs this one. Becky said it like in all of her promos. She's like, I can't even remember the last time you beat me. Like it's true. It's like sure, Becky has dominated this rivalry the last few times they've gone up against each other. So I feel like Charlotte needs to win this, and again, it'll help the SmackDown versus Raw thing. But yeah, I mean, this is good. Like it's up in the air, 50-50. You don't know who's gonna win. Or even if you're like 40-60 on Becky, like you're still not like if I told you today Charlotte wins, you're not shocked at all.
No.
We're never shocked when Charlotte Flair wins a match.
It could be screwy. They could do something weird to make it happen. Like there's definitely ways around it to protect both of them. Regardless, you got to assume it's not clean. You got to assume it's not clean 1, 2, 3.
No, I think we're getting, like I said, I think we're getting a 1-2-3. What happens before the 1-2-3? I don't know. Or maybe it's a count out, something like a count out or something like that, where it's like someone just rolls in the ring and like, which is fine. Count out just still wins. It's not a title match, still a win.
Liv Morgan could potentially like distract Becky. I mean, that's in the realm of possibility. I don't. Charlotte have a contender? Someone even going for Sasha? Maybe
That's actually what I was thinking too. Where I was like mulling over. Charlotte doesn't really have beef with anyone on SmackDown as of right this second. I mean, that could change Friday, but as of right this second, Charlotte doesn't have beef with anybody. So, yeah, I think the chances of a screwy finish benefit Charlotte rather than Becky right now, like you were saying. Yeah. All right. So you're sticking with Bex?
Yeah, I'll take Becky.
All right. Sticking with big time Bex. I'll take Charlotte Flair. So that is the first thing. I have it knotted up at 2-2 SmackDown. You have it at 3-1 Raw. All right. So with that being said, who do you think closes the show?
It's either the men's match or Roman, right?
Yeah. Roman's kind of main evented every single thing he's been in, so I'd be really surprised if they decided to go away from it. But at the same time, the men's Survivor Series match should be a really, really big deal because there's a lot of big names in it.
It's the point of the show too. It's like,
yeah, the Survivor Series match should main event, but they'd have to go in. How many matches are there? There's 6 matches. Of course, there's 6 matches because there has to be 6 matches because they can't do it right and make 7 matches. So they had to do 6 matches. I would have liked the tie scenario going in and then the winner. Like, it doesn't matter if it's the champion match or the Raw match, but yeah.
Probably Roman, right? Because Roman's the only thing with a real build.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be Roman, but we have a lot to talk about the men's Survivor Series match. So we'll cover that one first. So Roman versus E. Roman hasn't lost in 445 days. It feels like he's lost tag team matches where he hasn't like been in the ring or pinned or like even close. I don't think he's come close to like really losing a match. Can E possibly be one to break that trend? No, you're shaking your head no very quickly. There's a lot of potential for outside interference here, right? Like a ton of potential between the New Day and, I just give me a break. How do you see this match going? Like, so I think we both have Roman in our head as the definite winner somehow, some way.
Yeah.
But how do you see it playing out?
So it's going to be a mess, like all of these crazy matches with like they have to protect Roman, the whole shebang. It's going to be a zoo at the end. Chaos.
It's going to be fun though, right? It's going to be like a fun.
Yeah. It'll be a good match, but the fun. I think it'll definitely feel overbooked at the end. I think that's how all of these crazy matches end, where like 19 different weird spots happen in which like you don't know what the hell is going on.
The lights go out. The Usos come in with masks, even though everyone knows it's the Usos.
And Seth will be out there. Kevin Owens and Seth will show up for some reason. They'll be throwing punches. Drew McIntyre will come Claymore Roman and say he's the next guy in line. It'll be a whole zoo of chaos, and I don't know. It'll be fun. I'm excited for it.
Tons of fun. I'm very excited.
But
Drew McIntyre just comes out there and Claymore's E just for the hell of it.
Yeah, he just wants to get his shot in. Brock Lesnar will come back. They'll pull everyone they have.
But actually, Survivor Series is the 25th anniversary of The Rock debuting in WWE. So maybe Rocky Maivia makes a return, comes down to the ring and like the arm things and the big. Maybe he gets involved.
I mean, at some point, we're expecting that to be the match. It doesn't feel like now's the time, right, for them to start the Rock Roman thing, but it could happen.
Everyone keeps saying Hollywood, but it would be really cool if it happened at this WrestleMania instead of making us wait another year. And that would mean Roman would be champion for like 700 days at that point. And I don't think The Rock takes it off of him either. Like, that's the thing. Like, you do the Rock match to put Roman up. You know what I mean? Like, you give him that final evolution of this tribal chief character. Like, you don't, so it would be Roman against The Rock, and then you're not going to have him lose immediately after beating The Rock. So it's like, you're thinking Survivor Series 2 years from the Survivor Series that just passed is when Roman Reigns would potentially drop this belt. That's kind of wild. So that's the timeline right now. getting a little ahead of myself here.
Yeah, he's at 445 days as the champion right now.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a really long time. And look, it's been all great. I'm not complaining a second. Like, they've done a great job with it, and he's deserved it the whole entire time. I'm just saying, next year down the line, if the build starts where it's Roman and Rock at Survivor Series, we're talking about another 365 days. That's just some quick math. That's what we're at, 800 plus days, right? So, and then we have to make it to WrestleMania. And then we have to make it to Survivor Series. So like, it's like going to be like 1,000 days as champion, which is going to be a really long reign.
But it goes back to the point that we've talked about before, you and I. There's no one to take that belt off him.
It's just McIntyre. It's really just McIntyre.
And he's not going to take the belt off Roman. I don't believe it.
I believe that they would do it after a match with The Rock. You know what I mean? Like, I believe that after, like, because at a certain point, Roman becomes Roman, and then losing the title doesn't really matter. He stays on the island of relevancy for the rest of his career, right? He runs through Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, of course.
He's going to run through Brock Lesnar again. Like, that feud's not over. He's going to go through Brock Lesnar again, right? So if you have on your resume in a year, Cena, the Demon who never lost, which might be the less of this, but it's still a big accomplishment. Brock Lesnar again, and then The Rock, you're fine. At that point, you can lose the title. And I think the WWE knows that, but they have to get that match with The Rock in, which Rock wants to do, right? That's been pretty much, Rock wants to do that match. He said that he wants to do that match. He said that he wants to do one more match at least in WWE. So it's easy to believe that that's happening. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that's far-fetched to believe that that's happening. Look, things can happen. He's a star in Hollywood. Their schedules change all the time. Maybe it doesn't ever happen, but he wants to do it. They want to do it. So interesting to see how that plays out.
No, yeah, for sure. And it feels like that will eventually happen. Just for me, I don't see, obviously Drew is credible enough. I just don't see it happening. And for me, I look down and I'm like, is Braun Breaker the guy taking this belt off Roman? Like, truthfully, I'm like, I don't see anyone on Raw or SmackDown where it's like, maybe Seth. Maybe they want to give Seth that rub and have him go over Roman. But like, even that, I don't really see happening.
In my timeline of Roman winning the championship, of losing the championship, we do have another superstar shakeup in between. We have another draft coming. So
listen, Seth and Roman have to have a big match too. They haven't had a big singles match.
Oh yeah, I think they're changing that. Seth is gonna have to turn face for that, or it's gonna have to be weird booking, which would all work. But yeah, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see like what happens with Roman Reigns and that title over the next few months. Who's his opponent at WrestleMania? Is it going to be someone who wins the Royal Rumble and then loses to Roman?
The rumor as of a few weeks ago was Brock.
At WrestleMania?
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen that match so many times.
Yeah, you hope it doesn't happen, but like you could so see him coming back from his suspension and F5ing Roman. And
yeah. I mean, we've talked about potential feuds for him, right? We talked about Jeff Hardy definitely needs a little program with Roman at some point in time on this run. The fans would really get behind that. They would love that. And then ultimately Roman will ruin his day. And
it's just those are time fillers though.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like, you need to have those types of matches, but you're right. It doesn't really feel like there is any like legs behind anybody that could beat him right now. So interesting to see, but you have Roman Reigns winning this match, right? By hook or by crook, you have Roman Reigns winning this match.
I'll say no finish.
No finish. So like no winner.
Yeah. So it's either Roman or no finish. I'll say no finish for this.
That's interesting. I can't bring myself to pick E. Like I want to. Here's the thing. This loss would not hurt Roman at all. Like at all. No. Right? Not even a little bit. And it would take E to the next level, right? So it would make sense that, again, by hook or by crook, E wins this match. Somehow, some way, the New Day get involved. Like you said, McIntyre comes in and claymores Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and leaves everybody on the floor. The Usos both eat Claymore. You know what I mean? Something like that happens. But at the end of the day, I can't bring myself to pick against Roman. I hope that we come back here next week and we're talking about how E shocked us all and won that match, because I know we'll get excited. I know everyone in the building will get excited if E wins that match.
They could also do something with Heyman. They could have Heyman like cost Big E by cost Roman Reigns by accident, further that thing going on. There's a lot of different avenues they can go here. You hope they do it right. You hope we don't come back here next week frustrated saying, how the heck do they think that would be a good idea? Like
I
that.
can't imagine like the end, like especially the way that the whole Roman, has played out over the last 400 plus days. I can't imagine us coming back and saying like, oh, that was really, really bad or booked really poorly. But I do hope it lives up to the hype that it appears we both have for it. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Last match of probably not the night, but the last match that we haven't gone over is the men's match. And that is Seth Rollins, Bobby Lashley, Finn Balor, the newly heel Kevin Owens, and the newest member of Team Raw as of as of Monday night, Austin Theory, and we're going to talk about that in a second. And then we have them going up against Team SmackDown, which is Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, Happy Corbin, and King Woods, because, you need a bunch of ridiculous names on Team SmackDown to keep it, serious for the very, very formidable Team Raw. So let's start with Monday night. And that is, so as of 2 weeks ago, when they announced the teams on social media, both the Mysterios were on it. And me and you both said, Ray's fine. We don't care. Ray has the pedigree. That's fine. Like, he'll just get eliminated early.
Yeah.
But why is Dom Mysterio on this team? And I had said over Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was one of my picks. So the next night on Raw, they do what they were supposed to do, and they replaced Bobby Lashley, a very, very, very good competitor, with Dom Mysterio, who's still up and coming and still learning a few things and just not as big of a name for a match like this. Now, the week after that, they replaced Rey Mysterio with Austin Theory, who was another guy that I think we both said could be on this team. They like to do that kind of thing. But was it the right move pulling Rey Mysterio off the team for Austin Theory?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay.
Also, did you catch the awful continuity error?
No. Oh, because it was all former WWE
world champions.
Yeah,
That's why he kicked Dominic off, but then he put Austin Theory on, who's not a former world champion.
WWE champion. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's definitely an issue. I did realize, like, as you just said it, what was wrong with that?
They just think that we're so dumb, like Vince and the writers are like, oh, they won't remember what we said last week. Like, they're like laughing to themselves. And it's like, it's insulting. It's truly insulting the way they think of us.
But so I don't actually have a problem with Austin Theory being on this team at all or replacing Rey Mysterio. My problem was kind of with the way it happened, where it was just like he went out there to like take a picture with Rey Mysterio's dead body, and then Pierce was like, "Oh, I like your style. You're on the team." After three, like literally, it was 30 seconds. 30 seconds early, he comes on and he said that person will be named later. And then Austin Theory comes out with this freaking phone, starts taking selfies with Rey Mysterio beat down on the ground, and that to me was the worst part. Like, I don't even care that Austin Theory isn't a former WWE champion or whatever. That to me was the part where I was just like, all right, like, couldn't you have waited to like after the show and then like announced it? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, like Adam Pearce has seen Austin Theory like take it to some of the best in WWE and has decided to put him on the roster, like on the team. I don't know.
I like your style, kid. You're in.
That's what it was. That literally was what he said. He's like, you know what? I like your style, Austin Theory.
It's an absolute disaster every week. But it is what it is. Austin Theory will get knocked out quick. They'll further his feud on Raw. He doesn't have to do anything in this match. Like, he's fine. It's a mess. Like, no, it just doesn't make any sense. The things they do, and you just got to scratch your head. Would have made a lot of sense if they had a qualifying match to get in, and Austin Theory beat Rey Mysterio or beat Dominic Mysterio. That would have been a much better, more congruent, more storytelling, more logical scenario here. But instead, they're like, we're going to name them on the team 2 weeks before the show and then replace it 1 week before the show. Like,
See, I really liked what they did with Dominic Mysterio, where he was like, you know what, this doesn't add up. He's like, your name just doesn't look right on this team. And then he brings out Bobby Lashley, and he's like, you know what? He's like, this is the guy I should have put on the team for sure. I like that. I thought that was good. They did it once, that was really good. When they did it a second time, that's when I was like, all right, come on now. Like it's Ray would have been fine on the team, and then he would have had the beef with Bobby Lashley for beating the shit out of his son, the whole time. So I don't know. To me, that was the problem. Like the first time it was fine. The second time they did it, it was like weird. And then, of course, like I said, the end, the 30 seconds later announcing Austin Theory was just like a whole thing. All right, let's move on to SmackDown's team. We have more to talk about with Raw teams, but we're just talking about the members that are on right now. SmackDown's team, again, we have Jeff Hardy, Drew McIntyre, Happy Corbin, and King Woods. There needs to be a fifth member of this team. Who is the fifth member of Team SmackDown? Or who would you like to see as a fifth member of Team SmackDown?
I guess like Ricochet, but even there, it doesn't matter. Like it's the same situation for the Raw for the open spot on the SmackDown Women's team, where I said like I would like if Naomi was on the team, that'd be cool, but like unless they were doing something with her in like the Roman Reigns category of relevancy, she's just going to be in that match, do a cool spot at the top rope, and then be eliminated. Like there's nothing here on either the SmackDown like open spot or the men or the women's open spot that like makes you be like, that would be really cool if they did that. Like any scenario, it's kind of just like, yeah, like there'll be a little cheap pop for SmackDown when the person comes out, and then they won't do anything on Sunday. That's how it works.
So to me, this spot, they need a big name here, right? They need somebody big. So the first person I was thinking was Edge, and then I remembered that Edge was drafted to Raw, unfortunately. So he's out. So then I just started thinking, like, who do they have? Who's available? Who can they bring out? They're not going to do like Goldberg or Brock Lesnar or anybody like that for this. The name that I want to see, and I don't know if he's currently healthy. I know he got hurt. Is Samoa Joe. He was forced to vacate the NXT title due to injury. I don't know how long that injury was supposed to last. He could be out for 6 more months. I don't remember what the injury was. I don't remember how long he's out. But if he's healthy, this feels like a perfect spot. Then you'd have Drew McIntyre, Jeff Hardy, Samoa Joe, and King Woods, who just won the King of the Ring tournament and who just went the distance with Roman Reigns on SmackDown in a really good match before he was bombarded by the Usos and the rest of the, So I think that would make SmackDown very formidable and very available. Like you could convince me that SmackDown team could beat the Raw team, especially because we're going to talk about the Raw team having infighting, which is actually a storyline that I think is going to be played out great. You know what I mean? Like I don't think like infighting with teams usually works that well, but I think with the dynamic pieces that they have, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, I think that those three combustible heads are going to be great on Team Raw. But yeah, I think for my pick for SmackDown, I hope they go with Samoa Joe. But if I had to pick somebody on the roster, give me Kofi as the fill-in guy. Because again, former WWE champion, at least it feels like it's somebody that if he were the sole survivor, you'd be very surprised, but it's relevant. Like he could do it. You know what I mean? That's what I want to see. I want to see somebody who could potentially be sole survivor. And like you said, Ricochet, I don't think he has a chance at that. Kofi could be sole survivor at the end of the night. He won't be, but if he was, none of us would be like, oh, why did they do that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm hoping Kofi gets put in if they just have to stick with the SmackDown roster.
Yeah, Kofi, he has an injury now. I don't know. It's not real. It's part of the storyline because they beat him up last week. Like they destroyed him. So I don't think that'll happen. He can definitely be involved with either the Big E Roman match or the tag team or the Survivor Series match. So he definitely get involved, but I don't think he's wrestling.
Okay.
And Samoa Joe, it's been very hush hush. I've seen a lot of people on Twitter like wondering like where is he? What's going on? And like I don't think they've really ever said anything. That would be really impactful. It'd be really cool. I feel like we all like Samoa Joe a lot more than Vince likes Samoa Joe. Like whenever he comes out, it's a really cool moment. That'd be really cool. Like that's actually a really good suggestion. But yeah, I'm sticking with Ricochet, and it doesn't matter.
Hopefully they make it matter, right? That's what we want more than anything. Somebody that matters here, right?
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right. So let's go back to Team Raw again. Kevin Owens' storyline has been like this combustible, like we don't really know, loose cannon. He turned heel on Biggie. I thought it was a great heel turn, by the way. He just kind of lost his mind in a very Kevin Owens. Like they stayed true to his character, which is what I wanted. And then the promo he comes out and cuts Monday on Raw. That's promo school right there. Like you want to show a up and coming wrestler like the perfect promo to turn heel or like to cement a heel turn. That's the one. He said, "I am what you all say I am," and I thought that was the perfect line for Kevin Owens. Right?
Yeah.
Perfect line. I'm really excited to see how this plays out with that team. Like I said, usually I don't love this infighting thing. Like you guys are grown men. You really can't get on the same page for one freaking night. Like, come on. But Sunday night, I'm going to be very excited to see. Seth Rollins is a heel. Kevin Owens is a heel, but they don't like each other. We know they don't like each other.
Yeah. Well,
Finn Balor just.
How can they coexist is the line.
Yeah. And the same thing with Finn Balor, who just got beat up by Kevin Owens. It doesn't like Seth Rollins. We know Finn Balor doesn't like Seth Rollins. So it's like this whole thing. Bobby Lashley, another one. He thinks he's the most dominant force in the world. And sure, there's going to be like the four of them together. Who is the fifth guy Austin Theory, doesn't matter. Not a combustible element in all of this. Although I'm sure he could piss somebody off too with like his camera phone. Like imagine he goes up to Bobby Lashley with the camera phone and Bobby just puts him through the announce table. Like all very real possibilities. Like, I don't know. It's just, to me, there's usually a combustible element where it's like there are lesser guys that are fighting. This is the four major guys. You know what I mean? Like all four of these guys are on the same level. And I think that's what makes it really fun. You know what I mean? Where it's like, if Happy Corbin and Jeff Hardy were doing this, you just kind of be like, all right, well, they're trying to like clearly make a big deal, but Happy Corbin's always going to be like that one spot where it's like, who can have Drew Claymore Happy Corbin and like take the loss, roll him into the ring and get him out of there. You know what I mean? Like get him eliminated. But this one, they can't do that because they all hate each other, all four of them. And like, I don't know. To me, that's a really interesting storyline that's going to play out in this match.
Yeah, you don't know where it's going to go. And you never really know with these matches. I feel like we always have our predictions and like it usually kind of goes off the rails, whether it makes sense or not. They kind of just do whatever they feel like doing on that given day. And that is fun. There's an element of randomness that you can't really expect. Was it last year or 2 years ago when Seth Rollins like gave up and let the other team win?
That was I want to say that was last year.
And everyone was like, what the greater good, Seth Rollins?
Yeah.
He let Sheamus just destroy his face. He got on his knees and took a bro kick to the mouth.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
And everyone was sitting there yelling, like, what are you doing?
I actually love that. I remember just being like, that is absurd and really good.
Oh, Sheamus is actually due back on SmackDown this week. So that could definitely be another fifth member.
Have you kept up with Ridge Holland at all?
Ridge Holland? No.
So he was an NXT superstar. He came up to SmackDown recently with Aaliyah and the other people.
Right.
And he cuts a promo backstage. He at least two of them, maybe three.
Yes, yeah. That's why. Oh, okay. So I do know what you're talking about. I didn't put the face to the name, but yes.
So he talks to the person just about his love and admiration for Sheamus. Every single week, it's like Sheamus is a real guy. Like it's the strangest. I don't know exactly what the point is or what the end game is or. But he's like, oh, Sheamus is a real man. That's a guy that I want in my corner. And like, it's just like the strangest I've ever seen.
You know what we need to see?
Ridge Holland versus Sheamus.
No. We need to see Ridge Holland and Sheamus versus Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss.
I would rather anything else ever. Like, actually, like, give me Seth Rollins versus Rey Mysterio 13 more times before that match.
And Dom be involved in the story?
Dom can be the ref.
He sees Ray on the ground and he's like struggling to count the three. Okay, we're off track back. But yeah, so that's why I know that Sheamus is due on SmackDown because he said Sheamus was due back this week. So Sheamus could obviously be the fifth member. Imagine
is he a fan? What's the
I don't know. Imagine him and Riddick Moss in the corner of SmackDown.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah. It's all that stuff where like all of that stuff is going to play out. So I think originally, like we look at these teams and we go, Raw's the favorite, right? When we're picking a winner, we go, Raw's the favorite for sure. Right. But then you dive deep and like I said, like all of the combustible elements on Raw combined with the fact that the best or the most protected wrestler in this match is on SmackDown. And I think that SmackDown has a legitimate chance of winning this match due to all the chaos and craziness.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's another reason is SmackDown looks so undermatched compared to Raw. It looks like Drew McIntyre versus 5 studs. And when you have that, obviously they're doing all the stuff like you said with Kevin Owens right now. Seth Rollins is crazy. There's a lot of different things going on. And yeah, no, for sure. I think it's on paper, you look and it's like, yes, Raw's definitely gonna win this match, but it never plays out like that.
Yeah. Okay. So prediction time. Number one question. Do you see a sole survivor? I have 2 actually, 1 for each team. I actually have 3, 1 for each, 1 for Raw and 2 for SmackDown. Possibilities, but I don't know if it's going to end in sole survivor. But I feel like this match does have sole survivor potential for sure. Again, with all the combustible elements on Raw, the fact that the SmackDown team isn't that great. Go ahead, you go first though.
Let's think.
I think if you have one for Raw, it's going to be the same as mine.
I mean, Drew just feels like such a cop out.
Drew does feel like a cop out, but I could definitely see them doing that.
I think SmackDown's going to win just because, like we said,
I'm leaning SmackDown too. Actually,
like,
I talked myself into leading.
Yeah.
I think I was leading Raw at the beginning of this, then I really talked myself into it. Like all the stuff that's happening with SmackDown.
Like Kevin Owens is going to take out Finn Balor and Lashley's going to like kill Seth or something. Like it's going to be a mess of like their own guys just killing each other, and then yeah. What do you go sole survivor though? Who else is on? It's SmackDown. It's Jeff Hardy. Who else?
Happy and Woods, King Woods.
I'll say Drew, Woods, and Jeff are left for SmackDown.
Really, 3.
Yeah.
That would be really something, especially like that would be okay. So there's a few people that could use a sole survivor-esque performance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll start with Raw because I don't think they're going to win. Seth Rollins could use a sole survivor, right? Like he's got the title match coming up. And I think this would like cement him as like one of the top, like, I mean, he already is one of the top guys on Raw, but like this would cement him as like a very, very viable threat.
Yeah, no, it would obviously help, but not in the same light as like Liv Morgan needs it. We need Liv Morgan to be like a person. Where like
if Liv Morgan wins Sole Survivor, you're gonna see me standing up clapping. But
yeah,
okay,
I mean that'd be really, really cool. With like Seth, he obviously doesn't need anything ever. Like
I don't think Liv needs to be Sole Survivor. I just think she needs to be standing at the end of the match.
Okay.
That's the same way I feel with Jeff Hardy. I don't think he needs to be Sole Survivor. He should be. I think the crowd would lose their minds. I really do. I really think. I mean, if you saw the way the crowd reacted, I was like really happy for him, obviously, because we grew up in prime Jeff Hardy era. You know what I mean? Like he's one of our guys, like John and stuff like that. It's like seeing him get his due here late in his career. When it seemed like it wasn't going to happen, at least at WWE, and now it does seem like it's turning to that. The way the crowd reacted on that triple threat match where he almost won the United States title like a few times, and that was the U.S. title. Like, can you imagine him being the sole survivor against a very good litany of Raw superstars? Like I think the crowd would really, really be into that and lose it. I don't know if they're going to do it, but I don't think it's completely out of the picture. You know what I mean? Like, if Vince is feeling like he wants to do that, and again, he's got to establish some guys for SmackDown, I could see it. I don't think that that's the way they go, though.
I think that would almost be a bad look, honestly. And I love Jeff, but like we always complain about how they don't build new stars. And that's a huge moment for the Survivor Series Sole Survivor spot. Like that is a huge moment to give a wrestler. And I think we should definitely give Jeff a great showing. He should definitely be built up more, like we kind of are anticipating a one-off match with Roman eventually, but I don't want to see him get that rub.
This, at the same time, this pay-per-view doesn't really feel to me ever like a build your stars like pay-per-view. Like to me, Survivor Series is always get your top guys and go at it. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying, but like, I don't think that this is a match where I think Soul Survivor is one of those things where you get it as an accolade in your career. It's almost like being a Grand Slam champion, right? It's not like winning the Royal Rumble or Money in the Bank where it can catapult you directly into the spot, right? Being sole survivor doesn't guarantee you a WWE championship shot or a universal championship shot or a women's championship shot. It just is one of those things that it's a notch on the belt in the career. And it's like really cool. Randy Orton's been sole survivor a bunch of times. He's one of the greatest of all time. And you look at his Survivor Series performances and you're like, wow, that's his best pay-per-view. You know what I mean? But it isn't, when you define Randy Orton's career, when you look at the jump start, it was him being young and being an evolution and winning a title so young and stuff like that. So I feel like, to me, well, I agree with what you're saying, where it's like we do blame them a lot for not like building up new stars. This isn't the pay-per-view, or this is almost one of those things where I prefer veterans like be in and show out their best. This is like this is like LeBron James in the playoffs. Like, this is not, LaMelo Ball in the regular season last year. You know what I mean? Just to use an analogy. But I do get what you're saying. Like, we do blame them. And that's why I think any way they go with this match is probably going to be good. Somebody else that could desperately use a sole survivor win, Finn Balor. I think it would go a long way in his legitimacy. Again, don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would go a long way for him. Again, he's a guy that's kind of been around the block now. He's had universal titles. He had mid-card titles. He's been tag team champion. So this would just be another notch on the belt for Finn Balor.
I love Finn. I think Finn's awesome. I'm waiting to see Finn in the next release cuts. Like,
he's not going to be released. He's not going to be released. There's no way.
He should be a champion, and he does.
He should. He definitely should. But they don't underutilize him the way they underutilize those cut lists every year. Besides for like Braun and Bray Wyatt, like nobody else in that cut list even holds a candle to Finn Balor.
Well, Keith Lee and Karrion Kross probably should have
in NXT, but he's been champion a few times in WWE.
He was Universal Champion for 10 minutes, destroyed his arm, and he's done nothing since.
He's had mid-card titles. He's been in main events. He's been big spots, man. Like it's not this. I get what you're saying, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing. I don't know. Even he was just in the Universal Championship match.
To destroy his
everybody. John Cena was in it to lose. Brock Lesnar was in it to lose. Like everybody.
But they're fine. They come back for a minute and they lose. That's their shtick. It's whatever. But when you take a Finn Balor, who's definitely one of the more likable characters they have, and then he has this demon altered, this other version of him who's never lost before, and then you feed him to Roman in the sense, and then he loses as the demon because I think they played it up as like God made him fall off the thing. I think that was like the shtick. I guess Roman like pointed up after he fell down. I don't know exactly what they were going with that, but regardless, where do you go from here? I know you always say like, oh, he's fine. Finn's fine. But what's he gonna do? What's the point?
He's probably, honestly, I don't know what the betting odds are. He's probably a betting odd favorite to win the Royal Rumble this year.
I can't think of anyone else, so I guess, but
it's like probably him and Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens. If Kevin Owens, Kevin Owens probably isn't because Kevin Owens might not be a WWE superstar in January. I don't really know what his contract status is or what level of trolling he is or something like that. Big E happened to mention Mount Rushmore the other day on Raw, which I thought was a great little jab at KO. KO in his promos has said, I don't know if I'm going to come out here and fight. Just keep fighting, whether it's 3 months from now or 3 years from now. So he's one of those guys where it's weird that this is all happening now, right? That he's seemingly getting this push now. But the fact that they turned him heel is also a sign that they could be moving away from him anyway. So I don't know. I really don't know with him.
I think he's gone for sure. All of his best.
I think he's going to leave too, but
he's a professional. Everyone loves him, so it doesn't really matter. They can just have him do this segment, put Big E over, and then write him off somewhere.
He's a big deal in the company. He's not one of those guys that should feel like super slighted, with the way they've been using him. I think they've used him plenty over the years. Like he had that great program with Roman.
Much better than Finn Balor. They've used him.
Yeah, no, definitely. Even if you want to compare him to Finn, who I don't think was used that poorly as you do, apparently. But he's definitely he's not a guy that I don't even maybe he just wants to be with his friends. At the end of the day, he just wants to be with his buddies and his friends.
He's an older guy, and his place in WWE is kind of cemented. Doesn't feel like he can go up or down. He's going to be an upper mid card guy forever.
I mean, he's Yeah, he's upper mid card to main event, but pretty much everybody but Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre are upper mid card to main event. You know what I mean? Like Seth Rollins is as likely to hold the mid card title as he is to hold the main event title at this point in his career. Like, and that's the guy. Like, I think that's
He's the
the
main eventer,
benchmark.
though.
Yeah, but like Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins are on the same level. Like maybe Seth is above Kevin on that level, but they are on the same level. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
no,
Finn Balor's on that level too, but he's just way lower than everybody else on that level. Like Finn is at the cross section of the level to the bottom level, and then Kevin and Seth is at the cross section of the level to the top, and Kevin is somewhere in the middle. Like
no,
they're all on the same level.
I get what you're saying, but like I look at the company and I see like Roman, Drew, Biggie, and Seth as like the only main eventers they have.
See, I think that's wrong. Like I get what you're saying. Like I think that's wrong. Where it's like we are inclined to look at Roman's success and be like, okay, like he is the main event of main eventers, and who have been on that level before. There's only so few guys that get to the level of like, and he is not even there with like he's had this title reign for a few months. No, you know what I mean? Where it's like no one really does what Roman does. Like, but if you compare E's title reigns to Kevin Owens' title reigns and Seth Rollins' title reigns, it's like then you're more in line with what when he's at the top. But that's how I look at it. It's like when these guys are at the top, or when they were at the top, can they be back at the top? Kevin Owens, yes, could be back at the top. Finn Balor, yes, could be back at the top. E might falter, but could also go back to the top. I even look at a guy like Kofi Kingston. If they wanted to push him, they could bring him right back to the top. You know what I mean? Like he's one of those guys. They could bring him back to the top. Same thing with Drew McIntyre. Again, he's got more of that Roman Reigns like power behind him, main event style. But right now he's on the level with everybody else. That's just kind of how I view it. Like when they were at the top, what were they like? Were they unbeatable like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar? The answer is most likely no. You know what I mean? Like it's just Drew in that category. And the rest of those guys, they're all really cool and fun. They're all different and unique. And that's why I like that they're all on the same level right now on Raw. And literally 3 of them are in the on the Raw team in the match together. So I think all that's really cool. Same thing with like Randy, like when can you see him getting back to the top again? Absolutely, you can. You know what I mean? He's a main eventer who's just in the mid card. Same thing with AJ Styles. Can you see him getting back to the main event again? Yeah, 100% I can. No, Mark's like no. As long as Omos is in the picture, I'm not gonna get you started on that.
AJ.
Also disappointed that he's doing nothing. I would have much rather see him in this Raw lineup than Austin Theory, but it's fine.
How is he not on the card?
How is he not on the card? Yeah, I guess he's just taking the month off. I don't know.
No, because he's at Raw every week.
Yeah, he's just taking this week off. He's got Sunday off this week. He's gonna.
So bad. That is like a cardinal sin to have AJ Styles.
I agree. I don't know why AJ's not on this team.
And I get it. He said the whole spiel about how he's giving back now. He's helping Omos. That's fine. It's been months. They're
getting ready. They're getting ready to break them away, though. You could see. I think that's becoming pretty clear, right? Like
I haven't been watching much of their stuff. I really don't.
Omos has been very like they've been making a very big deal about him. You know what I mean? So I think eventually, like they're gonna break the two away. And honestly, he did what he said he was gonna do because now Omos is like kind of a big deal. We'll see. They have to finish it off. You know what I mean? They have to finish it off, and he has to do a good job on his own. But they've gotten him to where they can now. AJ got him to as far as he could take him. You know what I mean? And now it appears that they're getting ready to break them away. I don't know. Maybe that'll go into Royal Rumble. Seems like the perfect time to break that off. Like in the Royal Rumble match would be the perfect time to break that. 2 of them in there fighting alongside, almost tosses AJ off the top over the top rope, and then boom, that starts their feud. They could even do something at WrestleMania. Like if they wanted to go that deep into it. But yeah, it looks like like you said, like he's getting them there where it's time to break them apart.
What are they expecting here from Omos? Like he'll be the new Big Show? Like what's the
I think they just want a big guy that people fear enough. Like I don't think he's gonna hold any major titles or anything like that. Maybe a mid-card run, maybe he takes out Priest, you know what I mean? Holds the mid-card for a little while. I think they just want an established big guy just in case they need like that big force. Something that was missing from this Survivor Series team. Usually we have oh my God, that massive humanity that loses every match until like a month before Survivor Series. And then like the Big Show or Mark Henry or somebody like that. Yeah. Kane, another, they didn't have that this year. So I think that's what they're trying to establish. He's going to play that role, that big guy role, which is fine. I think he's going to be fine for that.
Yeah, that works. But
yeah,
it's on both matches too. He said Dewdrop's not on the card. Tamina they didn't put in. Like they're going small.
Yeah, no, they're gonna let the wrestlers wrestle. Not that those other people aren't wrestlers, but they're gonna make it very technical wrestling this time around, which is good. We like that, and generally it's very entertaining. But okay, we've been babbling on. We went off on a lot of tangents, so we'll reel it back in here and just get back. So we have our last member of SmackDown outstanding, but who do we think was going to win? Final answer. I think you said SmackDown.
Yeah,
I'm going to take SmackDown as well.
All right, so I went off the rails. I'm trying to think about who I took for all the matches now.
So Charlotte and Becky. I took Charlotte, you took Becky. I think that's the only one we had different. We both took Priest.
Okay.
We both took our Usos.
Mm-hmm.
We both took Roman. You actually took no finish, but if there is a finish, you took Roman.
Yeah.
So we'll just put it down as Roman for the scorecard. We both took Team Raw, and then we both took Team SmackDown. So yeah, the only one we have different is Charlotte and Becky. I took Charlotte, you took Becky.
Okay.
So I actually have it tied at 3-3, and you. Oh wait, no, I actually have SmackDown winning, right? Because I have Charlotte, Usos, Roman, and the SmackDown men. So yeah, so I actually have SmackDown winning. You have it tied at 3-3. You have minus Charlotte and then add Becky. So 3-3. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I'm going to be interested to see if they put a buffer match on the pre-show or if they're just going to put Priest and Shinsuke on the pre-show.
There'll be Omos and AJ on the pre-show versus Ridge Holland and Sheamus.
Okay. I'm in. Good pre-show match, good buffer match. They should do like another Survivor Series match, like on the pre-show.
They wouldn't do that. I don't think.
Like a random. Oh, we're gonna do another 5-on-5 match. Like I don't know, something like that. Anyway, so expectations are actually pretty high for a pay-per-view with zero build. We think the wrestling is going to be good. We don't know about what stories they're going to be able to tell.
We know the wrestling will be good. That's always safe.
So yeah, so that's pretty much going to do it for us, right? I think we've gone over every aspect of the Raw and SmackDown men's team, at least. I'll
ask one final question for you.
Go ahead.
So we end all of these big pay-per-views with Roman holding up his belt and then someone's music hits. Do we get that on Sunday or no? It's like the last three, Cena, Brock.
So if my prediction were to come magically true and Samoa Joe were to help the SmackDown men's team, would stand to reason that he could be a cool next in line guy for Roman Reigns. I know we've seen the match before with Joe as the heel and Reigns as the face. And as Roman has been able to show, like those stories can change around very quickly and he could make new matches out of those, out of those old feuds, old rivalries. So if it's going to be somebody, whether or not Joe shows up for Team SmackDown, I'm going to go with Samoa Joe as like, if there's guy. Like you said, Drew McIntyre can get involved in the match, but that obviously wouldn't lead to his music hitting after the match.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, if it's going to be anybody, I think Samoa Joe's the next guy. He's got the big name. He's got the big pedigree. So, yeah.
Okay.
What about you? You think you got anybody in mind?
I don't know. Drew makes a level of sense, but at the same time, it would be kind of underwhelming going from, and I like Drew. Drew's really cool, but going from Brock and Cena and these like returning big guys. So like for me, if it was to happen, it kind of has to be The Rock. But if otherwise, I don't think it's going to happen.
I mean, listen, The Rock comes out at Survivor Series at the end of a wild finish for that I'm sure we're all like very happy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure that's really cool. The only part-time guy that is still like out there right now is Goldberg. I don't think they're going to do that, but I mean, Goldberg has said, he wants to wrestle a few more matches or at least one more match, I think was the line, right? He wants to do at least one more. So listen, Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns, Goldberg, it's possible.
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Goldberg?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, it could happen.
It never had their match either that they were supposed to have at WrestleMania because Roman backed out of it. So like it checks out.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. But we'll see. Rock would be way cooler. Not, and that's nothing against Goldberg. That's nothing against Goldberg at all.
That's everything against Goldberg.
Not for me.
Okay.
If Bill is watching this show right now, that's him. That's not me.
All right. I'll take the hit from Goldberg if he shows up.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so that's gonna do it for us. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you after Survivor Series.